It was a game they simply had to have, and credit where it's due. They found a way to grind it out. Canucks doused the Flames 4-3 in a shootout. Let's get into it on Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Rink Wide Vancouver studios in downtown Vancouver on a night that saw the Canucks going back-to-back and coming back from a 3-2 deficit in the third period to win for the first time all season. When trailing after 40 minutes, Connor Garland puts the dagger in the Calgary Flame. Fourth round of a shootout. 4-3 is the final score. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. It's brought to you in part by Bet365. I'm Jeff. He's Irfan. And man, do we have a lot of talking points to come out of this one. It's been tight all season between the Canucks and the Flames, and wouldn't you know it, they come out of this game tied for that final wild card spot. The chase continues with 17 games to go, but a team that has struggled so mightily to generate offense down in the third. Kind of thought back-to-back, maybe it just wasn't going to go their way again, but Elias Pettersson starting to heat things up. How about that? That's a storyline. And goes to the shootout. He scores there. And then, as we said, the Canucks had a couple of chances to win it. They couldn't do it. But finally, Connor Garland pulls the trigger in the fourth round, and it does go into the books as a 4-3 Vancouver Canuck victory.
Yeah, a lot of talk has been made about, their best players needing to be their best players and difference makers and all of that, and Elias Pettersson was. And, he's a big reason why the Canucks were able to go and win this hockey game. He was all over the ice. He made great plays when he had to. Niels Höglander, 6 shots on net for him playing on the top line as well. Kevin Lankinen, good when he needed to be good. So lots to like. Also, Elias Pettersson, missing a defenseman there, an important piece to their team as well. I'm sure we'll get into it as well. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, Vancouver Canucks, a huge extra point in Calgary.
Well, just getting Quinn Hughes back was going to be a boost for them. We didn't know, on a scale of 1 to 100, where was he physically? He still doesn't look like he's 100%, but there were moments in the hockey game where he was dialing, and you knew if he was going to play, he was going to play a lot. 29 minutes and 48 seconds for the captain, including 3 minutes and 26 seconds of OT. They had to call the timeout to let him catch his breath there. A Canucks team that really hasn't been run and gun at all this season. Like, who were those guys? In the third period, at one point, the shots were 16-1 for the Vancouver Canucks. They had the only 3 shots of overtime. They had a couple of grade A's, and that's what you play overtime for, is to create those chances, and then you have to pull the trigger, because usually if you don't, the other guys go the other way and finish you off. And Mackenzie Weegar had a chance on a 2-on-1. He fired it wide, so not an official shot, but in overtime, Elias Pettersson from Jake DeBrusk right off the hop. Great save by Dustin Wolf. EP40 to Phil Hronek coming in on the right side and tried to redirect the centering pass, and then Petey was able to collect the puck off the end boards, and I thought he was going to tuck it in there. Brock Besser off right wing. Wasn't a great night for Brock, but he almost played the hero, clanked one off the post there, and then right at the death, they got the puck into the slot again, and Phil Hronek with a shot that wouldn't have counted. It was after the buzzer. But, these are the Vancouver Canucks we're talking about, continuing to generate offense against the Calgary Flames. So that was nice to see. It was a nice change. They had to open it up when they were down 3-2. It's in there somewhere. We just haven't seen much of it. Again, goals don't flow easily for the Vancouver Canucks, but they got the one they needed to get it to overtime. And by doing that, they ensured that they didn't lose in regulation. that they didn't lose in regulation for the third straight time. They still haven't lost 3 straight in regulation, which is pretty wild when you think of the ups and downs, the twists and turns of this season for the Vancouver Canucks. To give up a shorthanded goal and then moments later to have the Flames go in front on a power play goal, and that just felt like it could have been absolutely a kick in the nuts. So credit to them. Again, they didn't go quietly, I would think, and we'll hear from Rick Tocchet before we're done here. I would think he's been hard on his team here. He's been challenging them in a bunch of different ways. Sort of all the bag of tricks that a coach has. I think he'd be pretty proud of his guys going back-to-back. They turned to Kevin Lankinen on consecutive nights. That was a calculated risk, but they had to go with their guy who gave them a chance to win. The save that he made on Nazem Kadri on the power play early in the third, like there's so much else that's going to get lost in the shuffle.
Yep.
But we talk about grade A's. If Kadri scores there and they go up 4-2, I'm not sure that there's a comeback in the offing for the Vancouver Canucks. So when you think of this game in totality, remember that save by Kevin Lankinen, because it truly turns out that was a game saver for the Vancouver Canucks.
No, absolutely. And so much has been made about Kevin Lankinen, right? He earned himself that new contract. He's going to be their guy. You know, we talked about the other night about it has to be him. This is the Kevin Lankinen game. There was no way that, Artur Shilovs was going to play in the hockey game. And Lankinen made those saves. You mentioned the one off Kadri, on that power play. And when he was sharp, he needed to be sharp. Don't fault him on any of the goals that were scored against him. The ones that he gave up. Calgary did play well. They played well enough to score those goals, create their chances, and do that. But it was the offensive guys for the Vancouver Canucks, right? It was the other guys. So much times we sit here and talk about how good the goaltending, how good Kevin Lankinen and other players have kept the minute, and it wasn't the top guys. But on a night like tonight, in as big as the stakes were in this hockey game, Elias Pettersson was the guy.
Scored in 3 of 4 now. Mm-hmm. He's up to 14 goals on the season. He also had an assist. He picked up the helper on the Jake DeBrusk power play goal. Quinn Hughes with the shot, and it deflected off the shaft of DeBrusk's stick. So Jake DeBrusk had been a little bit quiet here of late, just 1 goal in his last 6, but a timely goal there to put the Canucks in front at 2-1 midway through the second period. And, it came on a power play that was drawn by Quinn Hughes. Ryan Lombard plays on the edge and sometimes crosses that line. He did there. Flames didn't like the penalty. Lombard didn't, but took a shot at Quinn Hughes, and Hughes got the call, and then it was Hughes with the assist, DeBrusk with his 23rd, team-leading 23rd goal of the season. But, boy, when we talk about turning points, what could have been, the Canucks then get another power play. Braden Pahal gets called for interference. Canucks had just scored, a chance to go up 3-1 in a tight game where neither of these teams scores a bunch, and instead of extending their lead, they give up a 2-0 shorthanded. And Kevin Rooney sets up Jonathan Huberdeau for his 23rd of the season. Just a brutal sequence all around. As great as it was to see Quinn Hughes back in the lineup and doing Quinn Hughes things, it starts with Hughes doesn't get the puck in deep there. Tried to play it around the boards, and it deflected off a Flames player, and then they were able to quick up the other way. Still not sure what Philip Hedl was doing defensively. I'm not sure he is either. He lets Rooney get away from him, and then it's 2-0. Kiefer Sherwood on the back check, but couldn't get there. And so you just wonder, 2 goals. That tied it at 2, and then 2 minutes after that, it was Huberdeau, his 24th, so his second of the period, 24th of the season. Wrist shot. He knew he had scored. Nobody else. The broadcast guys, people in the building, puck was tucked up underneath that middle bar in the net, but it definitely was in there.
Yeah.
And so a quick turn of events, 2 goals, 2 minutes and 3 seconds apart for the Calgary Flames, take it from a 2-1 Canucks lead to 3-2 Calgary going to the third. And then that story was, hey, this is a Vancouver team that has not come back to win a hockey game when trailing after 40 minutes. I had to go back and look this up. This is because I sort of had this feeling, and I wanted to be proven that, yes, every single game since the Four Nations break, all 10 games the Vancouver Canucks have played have been 1-goal games at some point in the third period.
Wow.
And so you just think, how many points? 10 games, 20 points. Canucks have not collected their share because they just haven't had the game breakers, but EP40 starting to show some signs of life, and his biggest goal of the season. I don't think there's much doubt about that. First multi-point game for EP40 since he scored twice against San Jose in the game before Christmas. So he hasn't had a multi-point game since the Christmas break, but welcome back. They're going to need him.
Yeah.
They're going to need more of that, but it's encouraging for him to see, and it just feels like he is more involved on an almost nightly basis. The Dallas game wasn't great for him or anybody in a Canuck uniform, but otherwise, Elias Pettersson scored in 3 of the last 4. And again, confidence is a funny thing. Like, he just looked so dialed in on the shootout. Like, was there much doubt that he was going to score on a shootout attempt? Like, Dustin Wolf's having an incredible season.
Yeah.
He made him look foolish.
Oh, and it was so easy. Just went down. I think it was, he knew right away that must have had the book on him, must have looked, must have read up on him, and kind of thought that he knew exactly what he was going to expect from the goaltender, and there it was. There was a lot of people talking about the emotion in the Vancouver Canucks and the lack thereof through the first couple periods of the game. In that third period, they were invested, and I thought they were invested in the right moments when they needed to be. There was a lot of scrums after the whistles. Not too much pushback. We're not used to the Vancouver Canucks. They don't get involved and do things like that, but when they had to stand up, they did. Like, they answered the questions. The Flames wanted to muck it up a little bit. Ryan Lomberg running around like he usually does. Saw himself in the penalty box there. It was where he usually is. But yeah, I think that, the emotional investment was there when it needed it to be, and you hope that can translate as we move forward now. Like, this team can, like, if there's a rallying point for the season for the Vancouver Canucks, it's that third period. Yeah,
we'll see 17 games to go. Hey, their elusive 30th victory of the season. Yeah. We've been talking about that and charting it because they had lost a couple in a row here. 30, 24, and 11 now, so you add that up, that's 71 points. And the road record is one of the reasons that they are still in this playoff chase at 17, 12, and 4. And for Kevin Lankinen going back-to-back, as we talked about, he has been terrific, particularly away from home for the Vancouver Canucks. And it started early this season, and he was able to get it done there. It wasn't just the save off Calgary. There were other ones. And then, he makes 3 of 4 saves in the shootout. So a lot of work. He's a guy that playing back-to-back with travel, the last thing he needed was more hockey, overtime, and then the shootout. But Kevin Lankinen was stuck with it. So good on him as he picks up his 23rd victory of the season. So the Canucks have 30 wins. He's responsible for 23 of them. You just know how much he has meant to the Vancouver Canucks. Yeah. All right, again, there's still a ton. We're just scratching the surface here. It's Rink Wide Vancouver. Canucks beat the Flames 4-3 in a shootout. We want to know what you have to say. So whether it's the YouTube live chat, our socials, hit us up. If you want your comments read, if you want them to get right through to me and Irf here on our set, bring it with a super chat. And our super chat charity partner this season, the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. And we've got a super chat right out of the gate from C. Jeezy, who says, DPD, the next Oland, talking about Matthias Oland, who obviously was a Hard Rock defender for a long time, up in the Ring of Honor now. At Rogers Arena, DPD lowers the boom on Nazem Kadri in that first period, and unfortunately for him, that's exactly what you want. A divisional game, this guy's still feeling it and, learning the ropes in the National Hockey League. We know that he can be physical. That's easily his biggest open ice hit of his young NHL career. And it's what happened afterwards. And I think this will be a talking point coming out of this game. I mean, again, the Canucks did well to win. You talked a little bit about standing up for teammates. Connor Zary, and we're showing it on the live stream here. Kadri goes down. DPD lowers the boom. Connor Zary, who isn't known as a particularly tough guy, agitator, again, sticking up for a teammate, maybe, but he has time. And he has options. And he decides to, target DPD's head, and then brings the elbow, and that is absolutely the principal point of contact. Irf, there's 4 officials, 8 eyeballs, I assume they all have 2 eyes, on the ice. And that was called interference. We got all night explain how that can be interference. Of all the things in the rule book, it's a headshot.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It was a stupid non-call, and it's a stupid hit.
I mean, he gets 2, so the Canucks got a power play out of it, but should it have been more? I think it probably should have. DPD left the hockey game, didn't return, and look, they're already down. Tyler Myers, who was a surprise not healthy scratch, but a scratch. Rick Tocchet said he had a couple guys that were banged up, and sure enough, Tyler Myers blocked some shots late in the game against Montreal, unable to go. DPD leaves this game. That headshot took him out of the game, we assume. And then Derek Forbort blocked a shot in the second period with the palm of his hand, the open glove.
Yeah.
And he was feeling it and actually didn't play an awful lot the rest of the way. So the Canucks essentially down to 4 defensemen. Quinn Hughes is one of them. They leaned on him, but we know that he's not 100%. How about the other kid? Victor Mancini, a career-high 18 minutes and 32 seconds. He gets the second assist on the tying goal. Big, mobile, physical. He can shoot the puck. He's had a couple of nice nights here as he's getting an opportunity. He's been patient when they sorted through the Carson Soucy situation, waiting for his opportunity. He gets plugged in here, and I thought Mancini was terrific in this hockey game.
Yeah.
When, asked an awful lot of for a young guy in a tough spot.
He had a hell of a game. He's been good.
Yep.
Every time he's been in the lineup, and you don't notice him much, and I think that's one of the better parts of his game because he's doing the little things right. He's getting the puck out, he's making the smart play, he's blocking shots, he's hitting people, he's being a big body, and he's playing exactly like they want him to play. So definitely credit to him. Going back to the Zeri hit, Jeff, that's a suspension all day. It's 5. It should be 5 in a game, but I think it's a suspension. I just don't know how many games.
And this is what I hate about supplemental discipline: a suspension, fine, but that doesn't help the Vancouver Canucks now.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it takes a Calgary Flame player that would play for them out of the lineup and he has to be replaced. But if that's 5 in that moment, that's a major power play for the Vancouver Canucks. Who knows what they do with it? But anyways, just a dumb decision on the part of Connor Zary, especially if DPD now is out for any length of time. The Canucks they're only going with 6 defensemen on the roster. Or 7, I guess, but only 6 healthy. We don't know the extent. That Tyler Myers is injured. If he couldn't play, I'm surprised he didn't try to play on one leg. He's a pro through and through. He knows the stakes. For him not to be available to Rick Tocchet tonight, that Tyler Myers had to be injured. So we don't know how injured. Let's hope for his sake and the Canucks' sake that it's just a one game and he can get back for the weekend. For DPD, let's hope that it's just a precautionary thing and they kept him out for the remainder of the hockey game. Michael Backlund left in the first period as well.
Yeah.
So both teams lost players as this night went along, but absolutely a salute to Victor Mancini. I thought he was terrific, and I'm excited to watch him continue to develop, and I can see why the Canucks insisted that he was part of the package that they got from the New York Rangers. The Super Chats apparently are going back in time here. We had the comparison to Oland for DPD. James Hansen says Mancini giving off Jovo vibes.
Jesus.
Some size, speed, decent hands, if he can bring some bite. Yeah, again, he's a big dude. I don't know sort of where he falls on the bite meter, if that's part of his game, but I certainly hope that that comes with some confidence as well. Another super chat from Spatzilli. Why not Hughes in a shootout? We saw Rasmus Andersson get the second call from Ryan Huska, so now he's 2 for 2 this year. He was 2 for 2. He didn't score, so 2 for 3, but it's not out of the question. When you think about what Quinn Hughes means, the skill level that he's got, I am a little surprised that if you go 4 deep in your shooters, that Quinn Hughes isn't one of them. It was EP40, it was Jake DeBrusk, it was Pius Suter.
I always remember that the Islanders game last year when Hughes wanted an overtime, and it wasn't a shootout. Obviously, it was a breakaway, but point top corner, a beautiful goal.
Basically, looked like Owen Nolan at the All-Star game, picked his corner and nailed it. You're right. So, a little bit of surprise. Hey, they win, so I'm not going to second-guess the coach too much. Just given the circumstances and the fact that it's now 10 without a goal, how deep do you think they would have had to go to get to Brock Besser in a shootout?
Probably 7, 8.
We told you the other night that Philip Hedl is 0 for 7 lifetime as a shootout shooter, which makes no sense.
I think Hedl would have went before Besser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Besser ripped a couple shots. He ripped that one shot near the end of the game.
Hoagie had
off
to be.
The post.
If you're going by the pulse of the game, I think
Höglander would be before them. Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the 3 stars.
Okay.
And I guess not a surprise. The 3 stars in the building, selected by Pat Steinberg, Calgary Radio. Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau are the first 2 stars. And Quinn Hughes, who played half the hockey game, never a bad choice, picked up an assist as well, so he's up to 61 points, pads his team lead. He's up to 61. Those are the 3 stars in the building. The 3 stars here on Rink Wide. How can you ignore Elias Pettersson? Come on.
Talking about pulse of the game, not entirely sure Pat Steinberg felt the pulse of the game, and I know Pat.
I may have to send Pat a note.
Yeah.
EP40, we're going with Jonathan Huberdeau. And it's funny because those 2 guys, they get mentioned in a lot of circles about big seasons followed by massive fall-offs, but Huberdeau was good in this hockey game. EP40 again, finding it. So those are the first 2 stars. And then Nils Höglander, who the coach singled out last night after the game. I know he took a penalty in the third period, and he's been pretty good about getting the penalties out of his game. Could have been costly. It wasn't. But if we look at the good things that he did, the assist, the primary assist on the tying goal, and 6 shots, as you said, but it goes more than that, or 9 shot attempts for Nils Höglander.
Firing.
So, yeah, to see him have the puck that much in the offensive zone and not afraid to shoot. I think another step in the right direction for Nils Höglander, and you just keep hoping that nights like tonight. Yeah, and he got an assist, so it wasn't like he was held off the score sheet entirely, but you want the offense to follow, obviously. Those are the 3 stars here on Rink Wide. Those are the real 3 stars from this hockey game. Elias Pettersson, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Nils Höglander. 3 stars are brought to you by Greta Bar. I'm guessing that one. It was not a quick start to this game. It felt like we expected it
to be here forever.
Icing 10 seconds into the game. Thought they might run out of pucks because they were all turned square. But man, this thing picked up and it was fun.
Yeah.
Like it was fun in this game at the end of the night, and I would imagine would have been fun to be at Greta to watch the Canucks beat the Flames in a shootout. Greta Bar, we tell you about it every program. Running out of regular season games, maybe there'll be some playoff options to get down there, but do yourself a favor, check it out. Terrific atmosphere, the arcade games, the street food menu, the weekly drink specials. Greta Bar, the place to be. 50 West Cordova, Greta Bar. Let the games begin. And so an improbable win for the Vancouver Canucks just because they were down in the third period and really didn't have a ton of life at times in this game. Now, decent start. Open the scoring. Pius Suter with his 17th of the season, and maybe that's why he got the nod as the third shootout shooter.
Yep.
Up to 17. So 17 games to go. Got to think he's going to get to 20. I don't know how much beyond that if he plays every game, though. I think 20 absolutely for Pius Suter for the first time in his career, and a contract year for him. Marcus Pettersson and Philip Hronek getting the assist there came moments after the Zeri penalty. Zeri steps out of the penalty box, but the Canucks buzzing in the Calgary zone. Suter gets a shot. It's blocked by Joel Henley. It comes right back to him, and the rebound, wrist shot, tipped off the skate of Henley and up over the glove hand of Dustin Wolf. So a little bit of a good bounce, but hey, the Canucks will take it. And they get on the scoreboard first. It's 1-0 deep into the late stages of that first period. And then Nazem Kadri, terrific pass from Rasmus Andersson right up the gut. But DPD is way too far to the left. He's watching Jonathan Huberdeau. Marcus Pettersson
And MPD was in no
way
man's
too
land
far to the
either.
right.
Yeah.
He's watching Matt Coronado, and that left Main Street wide open. Kiefer Sherwood standing around. Teddy Bluger was also out there. I think lost assignment. And Anderson, Kadri did a nice job of just kind of sifting through the neutral zone. Big time pass by Anderson and a big time move by Kadri. Kind of looked like the Nick Suzuki goal that we saw last night against Montreal against the Vancouver Canucks. Kadri with a quick cutback and is able to put it home to tie this game at 1. And so, fairly, Calgary outshot the Canucks 12-7 in the first, but really, I think it didn't feel like a 12-7 shot edge. I thought it was a fairly even first period of play. And so they go to the second, and you're just thinking, we have 2 goals in the first period. Is that going to be it for the night, given the way that these two teams go, the 2 lowest scoring teams in the National Hockey League since Christmas? But no, special teams took over in that second period. DeBrusk, as we said, the deflection at 10:32, and then Huberdeau with the shorthanded goal, 13:58. And at 16:01, it was Huberdeau on the power play. So 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal in the middle frame. And that set the stage for period number 3. And there it was, EP40, the rebound off the right side. His 14th of the season. Höglander and Mancini get the assist. 13-16 the time of that goal. 3-3. They each get a point, and then they play for the bonus point. And, look, 2 teams, 2 low-scoring teams.
Yeah.
Who
really
knew?
Two of the worst scoring teams.
Overtime was a blast.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I'm surprised that it got through the duration just because of the scoring chances were there, but maybe that speaks to but I mean, the guys that had the chances are guys that know how to put pucks in the net, and it didn't happen there in OT. So to the shootout they went, and yeah, at the end, Vancouver Canucks, this is the thing, as I'm watching that shootout unfold, Frost, he gets stopped, EP40 scores, so the Canucks get a leg up early, and then Anderson stopped, so Jake DeBrusk got a chance to win it.
Yep.
And just the way the season has gone, the struggles for goals, whether it's in the run of play or even a shootout, put the dagger in and finish them. And DeBrusk couldn't. So then Huberdeau has to score. And like Petey, he goes 5-hole, so he extends it, but a save there would have ended it for the Vancouver Canucks. And then Pius Suter had a chance. So they had 3 straight chances to win the hockey game. And you thought, man, like, this is going to come back to bite them. But Sharon Govich couldn't score on the deke, and that set the stage for Connor Garland, the day after his 29th birthday. So I'm sure birthday night wasn't such a a night to celebrate because they lost to the Montreal Canadiens, but Connor Garland a day late, but not $1 short. He gets the winner in the shootout. And by the way, the Vancouver Canucks have still left way too many bonus points on the table. Their record is 7-11 beyond regulation time. The OT record doesn't change. 5 wins, 10 losses in games that are decided in overtime. But they're 2-1 now in shootouts. Lost to Philadelphia early, won in Seattle just after the New Year, and win this one in a shootout. So beyond regulation time, overtime, and shootouts combined, the Vancouver Canucks are 7-11. So 18 trips beyond regulation time, basically a third of their schedule. One of every 3 games for the Vancouver Canucks has required some extra hockey.
Big Head Hockey on X. High danger scoring chances tonight. 13 for the Canucks in the third period, 12 for the Flames in the entire game. Like, they took it to the Flames in that third period, so that was good. And Quinn Hughes did an interview with Ryan Leslie of Sportsnet after the game, the one-on-one. He said, he was asked about Elias Pettersson. Ryan asked him, he said, really happy for him. Took a lot of crap this year. We obviously need him at this point in time with 17 games left. Proud of him. It's been a hard little run for him, but he's a great player and he's going to be just fine. Captain going to bat for one of his teammates and, being a captain and, doing his job. And obviously, Elias Pettersson looked like that. I mean, he looked like the player that they signed to that $92 million contract in this hockey game.
Canucks, just their second win of the season on the back half of the back-to-backs.
Yep.
They also beat Toronto after losing in Carolina in January. So they're 2-6. Again, have left too many points on the board there, and that's one of the reasons that they are where they are, which is in this dogfight. But, they are in the fight now, picking up the 2 points. Calgary gets the 1, so both teams sitting on 71 points as they move forward here. And we'll see how this thing plays out. Canucks have a difficult schedule, but the Flames, they still have an Eastern road trip. It's funny, in fact, in less than 2 weeks' time, the Canucks play a matinee on a Saturday against the Rangers. Meanwhile, the Flames are across town playing the Islanders at the same time. So they're both doing the Eastern road trip. They're all these games right down to the wire. They all matter. Another super chat for the BC Mental Health Foundation. This one comes from Domaniac Studios. Best OT I have seen so far. A lot of the overtimes I've just erased from my memory bank because they've been terrible. The Canucks have lost. But there have been some overtime. I remember JT scoring a nice goal off the rush in Florida early in the season. Connor Zary scored a beautiful goal on opening night. Flames beat the Canucks 6-5 in that crazy game, first game of the season, and Connor Zary won that one in overtime. That was a pretty goal. Again, we said lots of fun, and ultimately it's a little more fun if you're a Canucks fan when the Canucks find a way to prevail. Let's get to the the stat that stands out in this hockey game. It's a presentation of Resurrection Spirits, and the stat that stands out for me is that the Canucks have surrendered 6 shorthanded goals. The Huberdeau goal that tied it at 2 was a shorty. So they've given up 6 shorthanded goals in the season. 2 of them have come against the Calgary Flames. Remember Anthony Mantha on opening night. When he got in the fight with JT Miller. Canucks looked like they were going to run away and hide from the Flames, and then Mantha with a shorthanded goal that sort of settled things down a little bit and allowed Calgary, I guess, a sense to exhale and ultimately believe that they could come all the way back, and they did. But, there you go. The Flames have a third of the shorthanded goals against the Vancouver Canucks, 2 of the 6 on the season. Stat that stands out, a presentation of Resurrection Spirits, an East Vancouver company that offers a full range of small batch distilled spirits from rye to gin to vodka, even a ready-to-pour old-fashioned. And these spirits are crafted using BC ingredients, so you're supporting local, which is more important than ever. And they've partnered with our friends to come up with a Comparison Price gin. And they've got a deal for you as well. Use the code S&P. You get $5 off. Check it out at resurrectionspirits.ca. You can find out about the S&P gin. You can find out their entire product line there. So give it a look, resurrectionspirits.ca. Get it while you can. Once those S&P bottles are gone, they are gone. And for the Vancouver Canucks, a couple of days off now. Thursday will be a full team day off after back-to-backs and some travel. Friday out at UBC, and then Chicago on Saturday, and another big one coming up on Sunday. They're all big ones, but Utah in on Sunday, and Utah's not going quietly either, staying in the mix here. So that's what's ahead for the Vancouver Canucks as they kind of try to scratch and claw their way and get ahead of the Calgary Flames. They're not there yet because the Flames do have a game in hand. So the Flames will stay above the playoff bar. Canucks and Calgary tied at 71 points apiece. But Calgary will maintain that second wild card for the time being just because they have played one fewer game than the Vancouver Canucks. So the Canucks have 17 games to go, Calgary with 18 remaining. And that, it just kind of looks and feels like this thing is truly going to go right down to the wire.
Oh, absolutely. And as it should. And I think for us and everyone watching and the fans, you want to see that. You want to see the playoff race, and you hope that this can propel the Canucks to start to play their best hockey, whether it's in the later stages of March and beginning of April. That's when you need to be at your best. And if it is just to claw into a playoff spot, then so be it. But you got to get there. You got to be firing on all cylinders. And, you hope that Quinn Hughes can get some rest here in the next couple days. Elias Pettersson can build off, his performance. And then you can get some guys off the schneid like Brock Besser, guys like Connor Garland, obviously scored the shootout winner, and then be able to go from there. But my question to you is, that third period, Jeff, everyone's sort of showing signs, but you look at the game in its totality. What did you like the most about it?
The fact that there was life there in the third period when people have written them off. Others are doubting the Vancouver Canucks. Again, we know that this season hasn't lived up to any expectations, but there are people that have watched these last couple of games against Dallas and Montreal, and that's it, I'm done, I'm washing my hands. They just don't have it. No, there was some fight in the Vancouver Canucks. Like, led by their captain and just the boost that he provides, having him out there every second shift, they didn't go quietly. And the Lankinen save that kept them at 3-2, gave them a chance. EP40 scoring. They didn't, even at 3-3, like they still had a couple of moments. There was a chance there with about 8 minutes to go. Shot from the point. P.S. Suter looking for a rebound. I think P.S. Suter's actually had a couple of inspired nights. We talked about him last night, going to the front of the net and, scores in this hockey game. He's part of the shootout as well. He's rarely a guy that is going to be the flashiest player on the ice, but it's good to see him digging in at the right time of the year. I think the tone of this show would have been a whole lot different had the outcome.
So would the chat.
But you brought it up briefly, but I just kind of want to circle back to the fight in this team. And whether it's Connor Zary taking a cheap shot at DPD, whether it's Ryan Lombard getting a shot in on Quinn Hughes, to me, at that point, I thought for sure somebody was going to come to the captain's defense. And Kiefer Sherwood kind of quietly comes in, bit of a headlock on Lombard. I thought it was way too quiet tonight for Dakota Joshua, quite frankly, as the Flames were starting to amp things up on the physical side. The Canucks are not a big team. And Dakota Joshua is one of their biggest forwards. I kept waiting for him to awaken, and that Suter chance that I talked about on the doorstep with about 8 minutes to go, we both looked at each other and thought, that might be the first time that we've heard Dakota Joshua's name in the entire hockey game. So, look, it wasn't a perfect game for the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not sure the idea of a perfect game exists, but I just thought, going down the stretch here, teams realize that Quinn Hughes isn't close to 100%, but even if he's out there playing at 80%, he's out there to help the Vancouver Canucks. That other teams are going to try their best to, finish him physically. And that's a concern. Absolutely, it's a concern. So maybe a little deterrence, certainly protect your captain. I'd like to see that sort of Wolfpack mentality on the Vancouver Canucks. And I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't know if it's in them. It's not really.
It's just not the way that they're built.
Right. That's what I mean. So Rick Tocchet always talks about you got to play uncomfortable. I think for some guys, this is their playoffs right now. There won't be playoff hockey unless they find ways to win more games like this one. But I'd just like to see a little bit more edge at times because there will be some teams that try to push them around. I don't think there's any doubt of that.
Well, 100%. And an 80% Quinn Hughes is probably still the best player on the Flames roster. I think when you look at it, but I agree. Look, I'm one to sit here and say it after games where they've looked soft, where they don't have to each other, where they don't get each other's back, where they aren't. But I'll go back and say that that third period they rallied around something. Yep. Whether it was realizing that they needed to win this game, whether it was we are probably more skilled than this team and we can beat them and we know we can. We're not going to fight our way through this game because that's not going to work. So if we can play at our best hockey and go at these guys, then we can probably win some hockey games here down the stretch, led by Quinn Hughes, led by Kevin Lankinen, and obviously Elias Pettersson in this one.
Another shout to Phil Hronik.
Yep.
Back-to-back games, plays 28+ on both halves of the back-to-back.
Yeah.
That's a big ask. And again, Tyler Myers out of the lineup. Forbort not at 100%. Clearly, DPD leaves this game, so they're down to 5 defensemen. Mancini's a rookie, but we talked about his ice time. It kind of felt like the coaching staff gained trust in him before our eyes as the game unfolded. But the two main principals on defense, Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronek, and Quinn Hughes goes for, just wanted to make sure that they hadn't changed it. Sometimes they update them after games, but 29 minutes and 48 seconds appears to be the final ice time on the night for the captain. So welcome back to Quinn Hughes. And for Hronek, it was 28 minutes and 7 seconds of ice time. Colin in the chat says, not one forward has 50 points on this team. That is the real issue now that the D is fixed. Certainly, again, the question is, can they get a 50-point forward? I mean, I guess if Elias Pettersson has broken out of his slumber,
you gotta turn it on a little bit.
games, he's up to 39 points now, so he needs 11 points over the final 17. In other years, that's a good couple of weeks for him. So it's doable, absolutely doable. I'm not sure that he gets there. It's a bit more of a climb for a guy like Connor Garland. Brock Besser really has faded here, and
big climb.
Yeah, and DeBrusk, I guess, an outside chance there. For me, it's more about 30 goals. Can he get to 30 goals? He's up to 23 now with 17 to play. They're going to get some power plays. He'll score. I think it'll be close. I think he can push 30. I don't know if ultimately he's going to get there, but that's one of the races or sort of individual derbies that I'm going to be watching is, can Jake DeBrusk, first of all, can he get to a career high? If he gets to 28, that'll be a career high in a season. And then if he can get gravy on that, can he score 30 goals in his first season for the Vancouver Canucks?
Well, we've got some road games coming up, so
yeah, that's true. Seems to thrive there.
Yeah.
A 6-game road trip after this next 3-game homestand, which is Chicago, Utah, and then Winnipeg next Tuesday, and then they're out on the road. To Colin's point, the D is fixed. I mean, yes, I guess so. I mean, Tom Willander's in the system at some point, not this year, I'm not expecting, but at some point in the very near future, he'll be part of it. So there are pieces here, but where they all settle, I think long-term, Willander profiles to be ahead of a guy like Victor Mancini, but Mancini's clearly not a finished product, and there's lots of raw materials there to work with, and DPD looks like he has now announced his arrival in the National Hockey League. So, for the first time in a long time, some reason to be excited about some of the youth on defense. But yes, it's come at the cost of reallocating contracts up front, moving pieces out up front. And, this one will go into the books as a 4-3 victory, but don't you dare for a second fool yourself and think that the Canucks scored 4 for the first time since that game in St. Louis. No, they didn't. They put a couple extra pucks in the
Jeff,
shootout.
don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Fair enough. If you just look at their game log, yes, it'll look like a 4-3 victory, but that beat goes on. What is that now? That's 16 straight and 25 of the last 26 where they have been held to 3 or fewer, but this time they needed that third one to force overtime and then get it into the shootout, and that's what happened. Another chat. This one from your guess is as good as mine. Rico. Okay. Rico. We're just going Rico. Crazy that Hughes is still the points leader for the Canucks by a wide margin after missing 14 games. Well, it really isn't for the reasons that we just talked about. We know it's been a struggle. But yeah, that season end is going to look unlike any other season in Vancouver Canuck history where the gap is so big. Kind of go back to like Pavel Bure's days where Pavel was miles ahead of everybody else, but he was a forward and he was one of the best forwards in the National Hockey League. This is a defenseman that has opened this massive gap. And, Quinn Hughes gets his 61st point of the season. So this was his 51st game, and he's got 61 points in 51 games. He's missed 14 now. That's obviously going to bite into his chances of repeating as the Norris winner. And it's also, at one point he was on pace for 100 points. Missed 14 games, that's going to take its toll on your point total, obviously. But, it's funny, as he closes in on 63 points, and you say, why 63? For the longest time before Quinn Hughes arrived and became a Vancouver Canuck, Doug Lidster's record, single-season record for points by a defenseman stood at 63 points. Mm-hmm. And again, just to underscore the greatness of Quinn Hughes, He's at 61 points in 51 games played. And had he stayed healthy, he was in a groove. Remember, he was scoring a bunch of goals. Like, I think he would have got to 63 points well before 50 games, where it used to take an entire season to set a franchise record, and Quinn basically picking up points in his sleep. So, there's so many examples of what makes him this incredible player. And it was just good to see him back. Hockey is way more fun when Quinn Hughes is in the lineup for the Vancouver Canucks. And even though he's not at his best, you can see that he had a hand in the outcome of this hockey game. Canucks, a win that they had to have. They defeat the Calgary Flames by a score of 4-3 in a shootout. Now, when we look at some of the underlying numbers in this hockey game, it's been a bit of a struggle defensively for Marcus Pettersson off the rush. And there was another goal here scored off the rush. But the underlying numbers... And again, they were down to 5 defensemen, so you're picking up shifts with other partners. You're playing over on your offhand. He was the Corsi champ for the Vancouver Canucks among guys that finished this game. DPD was off to a decent start, but only played 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Marcus Pettersson with a decent night. Jake DeBrusk had been challenged here by the coach of late. Individual Corsi of 60%. Shots were 12-7 in the Canucks' favor at 5-on-5. He scored on the power play, but he was out there for a 5-on-5 goal as well, and none against. So that's a step in the right direction for Jake DeBrusk. And we talked about Nils Höglander again. Shots are 12-8 in the Canucks' favor when Hoagie's out there, which is great. Like, that tells you that he's spending more time in the offensive zone than the defensive zone, that teams aren't picking on him and trying to exploit some of his weaknesses. So a good night for Nils Höglander, and he was one of our stars. So
he's, no, I don't want to say figured it out, but he's slowly starting to realize what he needs to do to play on that top line, what he needs to do to be in the lineup every single night, and what he needs to do out there to be successful. You mentioned getting away from the stupid penalties, 200 feet from your own net, and all of that, but firing the puck and shooting the puck is one of the things that he does really well. Battling for the puck and going into corners and being an ass to play against is another thing that he does really, really, really well. So good for Höglander, because he's been great the last couple of games, Jeff. I mean, he was singled out by his coach the other night, and again, turned in another performance. So of all of the stuff that we talk about for him not being good, if he can put consistent performances together, the Canucks hopefully can use that and have him keep playing with Elias Pettersson. Got another super chat here. Swerve and Yervin reminiscing about Botch campaigning for Hughes to make the team out of his draft year. Yes. You remember that?
I do, yeah. And I'll admit, I'm not a prospects guy. I've got guys that I follow that are out there doing it. I trust them and their opinions. I wasn't. It wasn't that I wasn't sold on Quinn Hughes. I wasn't sure in my mind that Quinn Hughes could get to the heights that he has already in his career. Yes, it's good fortune that he fell to the Vancouver Canucks where he did in the draft, and he is a franchise-altering player, and so fingers crossed that they can figure this thing out to keep him happy and keep him around here over the long haul. We tell you about this on every episode of Rink Wide, so I just want to take a second here to mention this contest that could send you to not just go see a Canucks game, but to watch it from the Konica Minolta Lounge. Wow. Swanky place. If you haven't seen it, one of the sweetest places at Rogers Arena. Here's a chance for you to win tickets to a Canucks game coming up in April against the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, this segment of Rink Wide, a presentation of the Pacific Toyota dealers, and they want to tell you about the Toyota BZ4X, 100% electric. It's backed by the peace of mind of knowing that it's a Toyota, the spark of joy you get when you pass a gas station, knowing that you don't have to stop. So many advantages. It can handle any terrain. It can take you from the city to the slopes or wherever your life takes you. When you choose the BZ4X, you can get up to $6,500 in rebates and incentives. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. And the Pacific Toyota dealers have this contest going on. The grand prize includes 2 tickets to the Konica Minolta Champions Club at Rogers Arena for that April 6th game between the Canucks and the Golden Knights, and 2 Canucks jerseys. You want to win. It's this simple. Just enter. This isn't one of those contests that asks you to follow 6 different accounts and tag 8 buddies and all that kind of stuff. This is just enter, and you get a chance to go experience hockey like you probably haven't experienced it before. So get on it here. Click on the Toyota Pacific Dealers logo on CanucksArmy.com. You can hit the link on our episode description, or you can follow Toyota Pacific on Instagram and Facebook, Toyota Pacific, for your chance to enter the contest, open only to residents of BC and the Yukon and of the age of majority. Have you entered yet? Go. What are you waiting for? At least once we're done here on Rink Wide, that's your assignment. You'll thank us later if you're the winners. The Connacht Minolta Champions Club. That's living. That's how you watch hockey. So there you go. We'll tell you about that a few more times here through the weekend, but I believe the contest is coming to an end here at the end of the week. So again, another reason not to miss out on your opportunity. All right, we like to kind of go through the roster here. We've talked about lots of the guys that had a hand in this. Again, it's a tough go for Brock Boeser. 21 minutes of ice time, not a single shot on goal. Had 3 attempts, including the post in overtime. It clearly needs one, and it would have been nice to see him get one, but double digits at this time of the year, that's a slump. That is officially a slump. Hasn't scored since the Four Nations break.
Yeah, and we're going to, now I think, stop using the trade deadline as an excuse now. I think, he had that a little bit of the uncertainty, but it's just not working right now. Whatever he's doing needs to change something. He's getting his opportunity to play with guys like Elias Pettersson, playmakers, difference makers in the hockey game. Had the chance in overtime, obviously hits the post. It's not going to count as a shot, but it was one. But yeah, I mean, I think the other thing, Jeff, is like just not getting himself into those positions to score. Right? There's a difference of being in a slump because you're shooting the puck well and the goalies are seeing it, you're hitting the post, you're not getting breaks, but Brock's not even doing enough to get those breaks. Sometimes you got to create your own luck, get to the front of the net, maybe if it hits you in the leg or the shin pad or something and it goes in, or the skate, but as far as right now goes, like, he's just not doing enough to get there and to get into those areas. I mean, he scored some greasy goals last season on the power play in the areas that no one wanted to go. And that's a place where he's going to have to go to and get back to if he's going to try and find the back of the net.
All right, the other guy that I want to talk about a little bit is Filip Chytil. Did you notice him much in this hockey game?
I haven't noticed him for a while.
Yeah, I mentioned that it wasn't a great back check on the shorthanded goal.
Yep.
If you watch the replay there, like it's I don't know. I'm not. It kind of looks like he tries to tackle Kevin Rudy and misses, and Rooney moves in, able to set up Huberdeau. So. Unfortunately, that's really about the only time that I noticed Filip Chytil. Usually there's a couple of bursts through a game where you think, man, like there's that speed. That's what you're looking for. But Chytil's night, they say he had 4 shots on goal. Hard-pressed to remember any 16 minutes and 17 seconds. But, again, he's the new guy, and he hasn't been here that long. He's getting opportunities. He's getting chances to play. He's getting power play time. And there was an expectation that if more opportunities, more production. The line now on Filip Chytil is a goal in his debut against Detroit and 1 goal in 13 games since. So was expecting a little bit more there.
Yeah, and the speed's there. It's just not the guy that's going to the spots to score goals. Like, I think that Filip Chytil on a team that's very well built down the middle is a good third line center. Maybe he's being asked to do much here. Maybe the expectation's a little bit too high because he was traded for JT Miller. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that maybe we need to temper our expectations a little bit on what Filip Chytil actually is as a player. He's not a good he's not a 1C, definitely not a 2C on a very good team, but a good solid third line center. I think that's best position for a guy like Filip Chytil. But where the Canucks are, they need him, right?
So this is up to the minute now. I was waiting for the conclusion of the game. Utah, the hockey club, has defeated Anaheim 3-2. Dylan Guenther with the winner in the third period, power play goal. It's up to 24 on the season. This is wild. Calgary and Vancouver are tied with 71 points apiece. St. Louis, Blues were idle this night, but Utah with its win up to 69 points along with St. Louis. So you got 2 teams at 71 points and 2 teams at 69. And you got 4 teams in the race like that. One of them is going to get hot, with air quotes. And it's just a question of who's going to emerge? Who's going to go 11-7 or I'm not sure any of those teams has 12 wins left in them, but there's going to be one team that kind of figures it out and is able to nudge ahead. Obviously, somebody's getting that final wildcard spot.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I know that the real optimists keep looking above and say, Minnesota hasn't been playing that well. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Minnesota's 7 points ahead of the Vancouver Canucks. It would take a lot to make up 7 points.
Minnesota's going to get reinforcements at some point too. So
right, and Los Angeles at 77 points as well. But the Kings have won 3 in a row. Yeah. So they had drooped a little bit, and if you're the Canucks, you can't worry about the Wild and the Kings. Like, head down, focus on what you have to do. And tonight it was coming back in the third period to force overtime and ultimately to beat an opponent that you had to catch and will have to overtake in the Calgary Flames, and they did that. So good on them. For the Vancouver Canucks, can exhale a little bit here, but they certainly can't take their foot off the gas. More of what we saw in the third period. Please, make it easy on yourself on Saturday. Don't let Chicago hang around. Just take care of business, knowing that you got the back-to-backs. I would assume we will see Artur Silovs on Saturday against Chicago. I assume that. I just don't think there's any way you could run Kevin Lankinen back-to-back and then again back-to-back 4 games in 6 nights. He's going to have to play a lot down the stretch. You have to find a night off for him. I thought last night was going to be the case. It wasn't, but I think Saturday has to be an Artur Silovs game. Yeah.
I would tend to agree there. I mean, crazier things have happened. They're in the business of winning hockey games right now, so I think Rick Tocchet's going to really have to make a decision, see how Kevin Lankinen feels, right? He's probably not going to be on the ice on Friday when they have practice at UBC. Probably going to be off the ice. You'd think that he would be, and then make a decision based on that. Just on St. Louis has Pittsburgh tomorrow, and then on Friday the Avalanche are in Calgary and Utah at Seattle before the Canucks play again. Yeah.
Right, so Utah's in Seattle, and then here. So it's back-to-back for the Canucks on Sunday, but it's a night off in between for the Utah Hockey Club. All right, you're kind of setting the table here. I like that. You're looking ahead at the schedule, so we'll roll into our line of the night and find out what you've got your eye on in upcoming games around the National Hockey League.
Yeah, Jeff. Holy moly, breaking news coming in from Bet365. Every nail-biting overtime win, it's a barn burner. Like this one. Every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app today and use the code NATION. Get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. I was on the Bet365 app earlier today. St. Louis Blues, I like. The Ottawa Senators tomorrow, I like as well. And the Columbus Blue Jackets at home. Vegas is kind of weird right now. I don't really know what they're doing. They're kind of not playing their best hockey. So I like the Blue Jackets at home. I always do as a home dog. The Columbus Blue Jackets play really well on home ice. Some pretty good odds there for those 3. I was awful last night into today, so we'll move on to tomorrow. That's what you do.
Yeah, I've already forgot about last night.
Yep, me too.
All right, there you go. That is our Bet365 line of the night. See people in the chat are already getting into free agency. Cool your jets here. There's 17 games to go. This is their roster here. They're not airlifting in Mitch Marner or Sam Bennett or anybody. I see Nick Ehlers' name being batted around as well. We'll have lots of time in the offseason to reconstruct this roster.
We have Quinn Hughes.
Oh, we haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, we haven't heard from him. Let's hear from the Canucks captain after the Canucks win in
what's
Calgary.
The mood coming back into the dressing room like this after a comeback, knowing the importance of tonight?
Yeah, obviously a really important game and very excited group. Individually really fun to kind of get back into the swing of things and feel confident in my body. So, big one tonight. Really excited for our team and just got to keep climbing.
Did this have that proverbial 4-pointer, that playoff type style tonight? Did it feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, they're a competitive group. Everyone knew what was at stake, and not making excuses, but especially with the back-to-back, the competitiveness our team showed was impressive.
For you, how did you feel out there? Just short of 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I felt better than I did, came back last time, and haven't really felt, great over the past month. But really thankful for the medical group that we have. I'm sure they're, sick and tired of me, but. It's really fun to get back, and as the next couple games come down, start to get my legs and conditioning and hands and stuff where I'm feeling like I did before I left, but happy with the game today.
What do you make of this playoff chase as a whole? I think it's either been you or Calgary since December 21st or something, holding down the wild card spot.
Yeah, I think might come down to the last game. So for us, we can't focus on that. We got to focus on enjoying our off day tomorrow, then good practice Friday, and take it from there. But it's going to be 4.5 weeks of exciting hockey, and hopefully we're up to it.
When Elias gets the tying goal there and then scores in the shootout, does it seem like his game's kind of starting to turn around in a positive way for you guys lately?
Yeah, I mean he's an excellent player, and I just said it out there. You don't get to where he's at as a player in person without being competitive and having inner drive. And it's been a tough go for him this year, but for him to show up the way he has the last couple games, that's big time, and we're going to continue to need him to do it, and I know he will, so really happy for him.
All right, lots to chew on there.
Yeah.
If people were watching the live stream, did you see the little smirk on his face when the question came about Elias Pettersson?
Yeah.
Like it felt like he was waiting for somebody to ask him about EE40. Had a little grin, and then obviously giving Petey his props. But for me, or maybe the most encouraging thing was there where he said that he felt confident that his body felt as good as it's felt. Didn't feel great the last time he came back, but all the time off he's taken, he's missed 14 games since Christmas in 3 separate chunks. But that is good news that he can endure a 30-minute night in his return to the lineup and say that body held up, and now a couple of days off here. So let's hope that he's in this lineup for good now.
He was that good on a 30-minute night after not playing for a while and says, yeah, just wait till I get my conditioning back. I'll be okay.
Well, when I think of where he was on Friday morning when we were in the building early ahead of the trade deadline, and he was out there skating with the skills coach, and he looked miles away then. And so that was Friday.
Even in warm-up for this game when they were showing up, looked a little slow.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When he wore the non-contact at the morning skate yesterday ahead of the Montreal game, he had looked to me like he had improved from Friday. But the non-contact still sort of scared me that I thought, I don't know that he's going to be an option for the Calgary game, but they know more, obviously. They've got the information. And another shout from Quinn to the medical staff, as he said they're sick of seeing him. Yeah, they want to push him out the door when he's ready. And get him back on the ice. And so, Quinn Hughes, good to see you. Hopefully we get the full Quinn Hughes effect here over the final 17 games, because he can certainly tilt results in the Canucks' favor. And really, when you look at this race, Calgary struggles to score goals, doesn't really have a superstar. Dustin Wolf has kind of been their best player. Utah, they're plucky, and they don't go quietly, and Dylan Guenther is emerging as a scoring star. St. Louis, it's just kind of all hands on deck there. Like, to get a healthy Quinn Hughes back, like, of those 4 teams, like, absolutely that could be a difference maker for the Vancouver Canucks in this race.
Well, it's going to be. And he is a difference maker.
As long as he stays healthy. Stays healthy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the only game breaker. Elias Pettersson you saw, but on every single night, Quinn Hughes has been their game breaker.
Well, the Vancouver Canucks had enough offense. It's not a ton of offense, but they had enough, and I think there were more goals in this hockey game than quite frankly I expected. I would have taken the under coming in, but they combine for 6, and then the Canucks get the capper in the 4-3 victory in the shootout. All right, so Chicago comes to town on Saturday night. Last time Chicago was here, remember Ilya Mikheyev opened the scoring. He's actually having a decent season.
He's not playing bad.
I thought maybe his time in this league was winding down, and I understand the knee injury, and it takes guys, and I think he's proof of that it really, truly does take a year, maybe even a little more. But Mikheyev's got 14 goals on the season, so good on him. Obviously, it's Connor Bedard front and center, and he leads the Blackhawks with 52 points. Teuvo Teravainen is second with 50. Hawks are 31st in the league. They stop off in San Jose tomorrow, so that is truly a basement bowl. Hawks are 7-21-5 on the road. Like, Canucks just have to get those points. Like, no excuses. I guess I don't really care what it looks like. It's a league low for wins on the road. They're in San Jose, and then they'll have Friday off, and then they come in here. 1 win in their last 9 road games for the Chicago Blackhawks. So that very much a game for the taking. There are no easy games for the Vancouver Canucks. We know that. They make life difficult on themselves, but they have beaten the Blackhawks in both of their games head-to-head early in the season in Chicago, and then the game in November, where Mikheyev opened the scoring, but the Canucks did come back, and they ended up winning by a score of 4-1. This is a Chicago team. Ryan Donato leads them with 23 goals. He's having a nice season.
Yeah.
But they made the Seth Jones deal that basically, an indication that, and we've heard a lot of comments before and after, some from Seth Jones himself, that, he wanted out, and he got his wish, and they've picked up Spencer Knight, who is 2-1 with a sub-2 goals against average in his 3 games. So,
yeah, he's going to be their goalie.
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll see him here on Saturday, but they have, they moved Peter Mrazek out, and they have cleared a path for Spencer Knight to be their guy. So a pretty good chance that the Canucks will face him on Saturday. He's got a 198 goals against average and a 941 save percentage in the 3 games since that trade from Florida. So that's next up for the Vancouver Canucks, and that'll be next up for us as well here on Rink Wide. I know you're sitting that one out.
Back Sunday.
And then you'll be back Sunday. All right, we've got Elias Pettersson post-game.
Yeah.
So before we run here, let's hear from EP40 on a night that he had a huge hand in this outcome with the tying goal and then getting the shootout started with a goal that put the Canucks up by a goal after the first round. Here is Elias Pettersson.
Everything about tonight, second of back-to-backs, 3rd and 4, playing a division rival, a team that you're chasing in the playoff hunt. What's the emotion like when you walk back into this room with 2?
No, it's huge for a group. Just battle everybody did and the effort, and to be able to come back is it's good. Hopefully, we can build on this.
What can you say about the resolve or the resiliency of your group? Again, you're coming in on the second of back-to-backs, and it was a tough playoff-like game.
Yeah, obviously, Oz wasn't in our favor with back-to-back, and I heard Calgary was resting for a few days, but nevertheless, we battled hard. Very happy with the win.
What did you make of your captain? Get back in there, and we could see it on his face. He was feeling it, and then he admitted as much. But it's kind of that gritty effort you've seen from him.
No, that's my captain. That's he. I don't know if he said 100%. Probably shouldn't say that, but he. I don't know what he clocked in, almost 30 minutes of playing time today, and just shows what type of player he is and to what a motor or engine, whatever you say, he has.
He was quite complimentary of you as well, and rightly so. You're probably feeling a lot better about where your game is at. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's easy to look throughout the whole year, but nothing I can change there. I'm just trying to be the best player I can be every game, and very happy with the win.
When you score big goals like the tying goal, you get that goal in the shootout. Does that give you that extra bit of confidence as well?
Yeah, I definitely have my shoulders, or whatever you say. I definitely feel good now, but it's one game. What do we have? 17 games left. We got a good opportunity to make the playoffs. It's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be any easy games, but definitely feel good now. We're gonna enjoy this and get ready for whenever next game is.
Boy, just even on body language, he just looks so much looser over the last week than at any other point this season. And individual success, I mean, there hasn't been the team success. I mean, a couple of wins along the way, and this one obviously, but they also lost to Dallas and Montreal. So it's not like they're on a 5-game win streak, but I just think the fact that he's had a hand in contributing to victories and looking and feeling more confident, it's just nice to see. Again,
when's the last time we can say he's had a big game clutch goal this season, right?
Well, I said right off the top that, I mean, he hadn't had a multi-point. He's got 102 points. You get to 102 by racking them up.
Yeah.
He hadn't had a multi-point game. Like, it had been a point here and a point there and, a few assists, not many goals, since he had the 2-goal game against San Jose just before Christmas. And again, that was against San Jose. This was a game of consequence. And so it was terrific to see him come through in the third period. You go back last week to the Anaheim game where he didn't figure in the scoring, but he just looked like he was dialed in, he was involved. Then he scored the one-timer against Minnesota. Didn't have a great game against Dallas, but there was the underlying numbers we talked about were terrific against Montreal. Scored in that one. And the other thing here, a 5-on-5 goal, because the last 2 here recently have both been on the power play. So again, you hope that builds confidence for him to find a goal. Puck comes to him off the side there, and the rebound makes no mistake with 7 minutes to go. And the Canucks go to overtime. They win it in a shootout. Chicago on Saturday, Utah on Sunday. They come off back-to-backs. They've got 2 coming up here on the weekend. And so it's another busy weekend for the Vancouver Canucks, and it'll be a busy weekend for us here at Rink Wide as well. Again, Irf's off Saturday, but he'll be back Sunday for the Utah game. Farhan's going to join me as my co-host on Saturday. Atsu is working hard behind the scenes here, helping us put Rink Wide together. We appreciate his help. And it's certainly good to have you, our loyal viewers and listeners, with us down the stretch. It's been a weird year, certainly, but they're still alive, and nights like tonight keep them very much in the playoff hunt. Follow us on social if you don't already, and make sure you hit that subscribe button for the YouTube channel so that you don't miss any content here that we push out on Rink Wide Vancouver. For Irf, I'm Jeff. The final score, one more time. It was the Vancouver Canucks 4 and the Calgary Flames 3 in a shootout. That's going to do it for this episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.